This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs while giving back to the community in a unique and meaningful way. This is episode number 18, and I have such a good show for you today. I'm so excited. On the podcast today, I have Allison Eden of Allison Eden Studios, which is an art house for custom glass mosaics. Wow, I'm so glad this is a visual podcast because you're going to get to see some of Allison's gorgeous, gorgeous work. She's really taken the most ancient art form known to man, doing mosaics, and transformed them into the most gorgeous modern day art full of wild patterns and bold colors and almost impossible cuts by hand. She's incredibly talented. In fact, her staff they're all true artisans. She talks about her journey, about how she started this company back in 1995 in New York City, and now it's become one of the most sought after glass art houses in the world. If you look at her portfolio and some of the images you'll see today, she has done tons of commercial and residential and designs for many celebrities. She's just a powerhouse. And now she is been working with Bloomingdales on several different projects, but now she's coming out with her own home textile line, and she has a fashion line coming out. She's just so inspiring, and I just think it's so unique, and I just can't wait for you to hear all her wonderful words of advice and her really incredible story, and it's just so, so good. And if you guys are enjoying all of these different episodes with all of these different artisans and creatives, I would so appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up or leave a nice comment. I look at them all and they mean so much to me, and it would help me also spread the word of supporting the arts, and we want to keep supporting all these incredible artists out there. The world needs more art. It keeps us all happy. So yeah, and definitely Allison is, her art definitely makes you happy. You're going to just love this. So please stay tuned for a super fun episode with Allison Eden. Hi, Allison. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I am so fascinated by what you do, and I just cannot wait to talk to you.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. This is so nice, and what an honor to come on your show and talk to you about what I do.
It's so it's just so unique, and I just can't wait to figure out and hear from you how you started at even getting into doing all this. It's what do you call it? Do you call it tile art, or how would you describe it?
Well, I feel like it's drawing with glass. It's a beautiful medium. I absolutely love it. I mean, they're mosaics, but
but different. It does feel like artwork when I look at it. It's more, yeah. I don't know. It's just really unique to you. But let's go back to the very, very beginning. I want to go on the journey with you. So you are in Brooklyn, New York right now, correct?
Yep, we're in Bushwick.
Studios? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And have you always been from New York, or?
Well, I'm originally from California, from San Diego, and I moved here to go to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City.
Okay.
And while I was there studying fashion design, I wasn't sure. I always wanted to do maybe interior design, fashion, something in design. And I walked by a store that had beautiful glass, and I walked in, and it was beautiful. Like the glass, the texture was just incredible. And I asked, what do you really do with all this stuff? And they said, we do windows. And I thought, how cool would it be to make something with it, and to see where, what I could do. So I made little samples and I put them in my handbag. And during I was interning for a fashion company.
Is this after you had graduated, or is this during what you're in school?
Right at the end, right at graduation, when you're doing your internships and your first jobs.
Okay.
So I just thought there was a need for this. And I loved interior design because my mother was an interior designer. And I thought, God, this would be so cool if we did artwork on walls as a finish. I mean, and it would become a tile. I didn't even know what a tile was. Um, I really didn't. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I, I would get a job in the garment center doing something small and would lead to other things. And then I decided to open up a studio, and I put an ad in every paper. Like I didn't even know what I was. When you're young, you really don't know what you're doing at all. And so I said I was an architect, an interior designer, a fashion designer, a seamstress. I mean, I just went through, like, I mean, the Yellow Pages, that was like the Google of,
Yeah.
you know, of my time, and it really wasn't that big.
Right.
So I just put ads in everywhere. And so I got a call from a Burger King, and they said, "I see you're a contractor in New York. We're looking for somebody to lay lay tile at Burger King, but it needs to be artwork, and it needs to be in the shape of a Brazilian wave." So I was like, "You've come to the right place. This is
Wow.
what,"
Burger King and a Brazilian wave. I don't know. I don't put those two
yeah,
things together.
right? Oh my, well, it was
Wow.
on 46th Street, and I said I could do it. So I rented a car. I drove to Home Depot. I bought a video on how to tile a floor, and I showed up and I tiled the floor.
Oh
It
my
was,
goodness.
I mean, like, it was hellish, and I don't, but I needed to pay my rent, and it turned out so wonderful that every time I went back, I got like free burgers. It was like, they were so nice. And I learned how to do this because I had to do it.
Wow, that is such a great story. I'm so blown away by that. I can't believe, I mean, that's a commercial job. And usually, like, if for commercial applications, like the tile has to go up the wall 48 inches or whatever, the ADA code. Well, I guess there wasn't really ADA code
I
back then.
I was doing a floor. So, and I had never heard of leveling material, but
Oh my goodness.
but the good thing is they provided me with everything that I needed, and I just got it off my Home Depot video on how, like, of what to buy, and then I just would
Wow.
watch it and I would do it. I had people helping, but it was the craziest thing ever.
Was it
And
glass
so
or was it
it
ceramic?
was ceramic tile that I had to break into this, pattern, and it ended up being so beautiful. But I always thought that, if you put your mind to something and you say you can do something, you can do it.
That's
It's when
great.
I feel like that is a really important thing.
So who
Sometimes you
installed
have
that in
to.
you? Because you were a young person when this all happened. And a lot of people when they're young, they're very intimidated and they're nervous and they're afraid to try things. And you were like, I'm gonna do this. So how did that happen? I mean, like, who installed that in you? Or you're just wired
I,
that way?
I don't know. I think I was always wired that way. I remember, like, in middle school, I used to paint like t-shirts, and like when boxer shorts were really big, and those big scrunchy socks, and I used to sell them in my town. I mean, this was like in middle school, and
Always an
I
entrepreneur.
right, I lived in a very small town. Well, it wasn't so small. It's called La Jolla, and it's like a seaside town.
Oh, it's
And
beautiful.
I was selling all my stuff. And I think, my mom would go in and buy things because she was so, like, she didn't want me to feel bad if I wasn't making a sale.
Oh,
So,
what a good mama. That's so sweet.
right.
Oh, did
And
she
so
help
I
you
don't know.
when you started did she design tile displays and stuff for her clients? So was she helpful?
Well, she, both of my parents are super creative. My mom really, like, she was a type of interior designer that really didn't have many clients because only would want her own vision. Therefore, she just designed her own things.
I
So,
see.
and I don't think she ever really wanted um, customers, but she loved designing. She's always redesigning our house. But I always loved, like, watching her because her style was so incredible. It was so lush and over the top, yet super traditional. And I see that I have the same taste. And I
Yeah.
understand that need to be,
Yeah.
um, creating like just such unique, beautiful spaces.
I want
So,
to ask you about that because uh, I love your style, your sense of fashion. You're super bold and colorful, and you just, I mean, when you even on social media when you look at you like, I want to know her. She looks like she would just be so
oh,
fun to hang out with. But so,
well,
did you study fashion? I mean, because you have like it even looks like some of the clothes that you're wearing look so custom. Are you designing those clothes?
so yes, so we're now coming out with a clothing line, which is launching
Ah,
at
wow.
Bloomingdales in New York City, the Bloomingdales on 59th Street. On May 16th at 6 o'clock, we're having a big launch party. We're coming out with a home collection and really more ready to wear clothing. I think that it's super, super cool, and it's all using our fabric. We also started to create fabric with a company called Levatex, and they are amazing, and they're creating a lot of our patterns in different types of upholstery and clothing fabric. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, and that's what led to creating some items for the retail market. And the patterns are so interesting, and it's so hard to replicate some of these patterns, and they take so long and they'd be so expensive that we decided maybe if we put them on items that people could actually uh, purchase,
Oh, you're talking
then
about the tile designs, the tile artwork that you're creating.
right. So we
I see.
we we started to digitally print onto fabric, and now you can have like a little piece that's not that that is something that you can wear, a beach towel, shorts, pants, jackets, sweatshirts, and then home goods as well, dinner sets and journals, just
Oh my
lots of fun
goodness.
things.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, we have to back up on this evolution. So
Okay.
we jumped
Sorry.
all the way for
I know
no, it's
I jump a
great.
lot.
I am like overwhelmed because it's all so good. And it's just I want it to be real clear so people can understand how you got from Burger King to having an entire home collection and fashion line launch at Bloomingdale's. So what was the journey in between is where I want to go from. So after you do this for Burger King, then what did that just start bringing in clients? And when did you open
No,
the
it
studio? Or
didn't bring in clients.
just
I
lots of
still
hamburgers for free,
right. I can't.
which at the time was probably pretty important.
It really was being like, right out of college, living in New York City. It was not expensive then, but as expensive. But now, I think it'd be very hard today for an artist to have to do what I did. I rented a small space, and it I hustled every day. I would go from building to building. I'd start at the top floor with my little samples, and I would just walk in and I would say, "Are you looking to renovate or redecorate? I have an idea for you." So
Ah,
there
okay.
might be somebody, and I didn't give up yeah, until I would get a project, but then I'd have to run, back. I was making these mosaics in my living room, and then, I took a teeny little space, and the I got a project in a performing arts center, and the projects that I would get they would be not be small. They would end up being very big projects. Like the real first one, another one after the Burger King was the first, but like in a real space, I got a job for like 40 tables at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Wow.
And my space was no bigger than a 10 by 10 room, and I had to make 40 tables.
Oh my gosh.
So I hired people, and it was a 18 floor building. So we
Oh
would
my
mosaic.
gosh. You're
So
kidding.
we would go into the stairwell, and everybody would get a floor, and we would just start mosaicing tables all night long. And then in the morning, because we couldn't do it during the day. I would have gotten thrown out immediately. Um, we would bring the tables down, and then we'd start the next night.
Wow.
Once I'd work all day, and then I'd have a crew of people coming in, and I'd run up and down to make these tables, and we
Oh my
did
gosh.
it.
Oh my gosh, you
I,
must have been in the best shape ever.
yeah, I was asked to leave my space right after that
Oh,
project.
you were. So you
Oh,
had, okay, so
yeah.
you had a day job then, and this was your side hustle at the time that you were doing all this tile work?
Well, well, Burger King, I gave up my job after that because that's when I started having a small studio and literally just sitting, and figuring out, okay, how do I get a job? And then once we did get a job, we would make it. And I learned about tiles through, I lived across the street from a tile store, and I went in and I said to could you see this on a wall? And they said, this is tile. Why don't you do some vignettes for us? So I did. I actually, made them right in their store,
Mm.
and no idea I would start getting orders. I had a fax machine that barely ever like worked. I mean, it barely ever I never got a job. Like these were all one-off projects. And then
Mhm.
I started getting um, job after job from the tile stores because I would go into
Mm.
one, I'd get into one, I would do another, and so we really became the tile business really took off, and I let them handle the tile sales, and it made life much easier to have somebody representing you, and you could do
Mhm.
what you love. And from doing the hustle to at 20, that was easy. You didn't even have to sleep. I think I went out every night also. um
That's
Fast
awesome.
forward like 30 years, I can barely get to my front door before I want to pass out at like 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, so note to self, make sure that you have everything set in place the older you get, so you don't have to do all that.
You know what? Yes, I think that is I think as a young person, you need to, especially now or as always, you need to really prepare for the future, because the future comes quickly. And I
Mhm.
don't think I ever realized that, how
Mhm.
quickly it did it would come, and it's here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, you're doing just fine. So the tile stores were kind of like your gallery. You said they were kind of representing you.
yes,
And so do you
yes.
still have relationships with the different tile stores? There's
Oh
now,
my
have
God,
you? Oh,
100%. I'm still
oh,
in every tile store I ever got in.
oh,
Um,
okay. Are you in
we
tile stores in like California or in?
Oh, yes, 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 all over the country. Um, so everywhere. I mean, all over the
Wow.
world at this point. And
Wow.
I stayed with the tile store distribution because everybody became a friend and was
Mhm.
so supportive and helped me as a small business, as an artist, being different. It's always hard to be different in the world because nobody understands you. But the tile stores always were very supportive of my vision. They would hang up the craziest things on their walls when really all they did sell was a white tile. So,
Mm.
people would come in and say, we don't want a white tile. We
Mhm.
want this crazy thing. And
Wow, you
so,
are such a visionary. That's a good word for you. You are a visionary.
well,
That's
I would come in with free samples also.
Mhm.
I would make free pieces of artwork, and I would
Mhm.
say, could you hang this, and I'll make this for you. That
Did
it
did
what
anyone ever say no? They're like, no, 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 it's too crazy. I don't
um
want to do this.
yeah, actually they sure did. But it didn't happen as much. I always took it like so personally, like, what do you mean? But then over the years, those people have called, it's a small industry,
Yeah.
and I really like it. And so, and I do like the people in it. They're very, they're people are very design oriented, and they think outside of the box. So
Mhm.
I'm also, besides the tile stores, I am now in a gallery in New York City, which we're so excited about,
Mm.
Heller Gallery. So
Wow.
that's a
Tell me
whole
about that. How did that come about?
um,
So what types of pieces do you have in the gallery? Are they
it's just artwork. So we're showing
Mm.
gemstones, diamonds, all of
Oh,
our
I
diamonds.
love oh my God, those are amazing. And
Aren't
what a
those
great,
beautiful?
it's one thing to paint something like that, but to do it in glass and it's so reflective and it's just amazing, amazing, amazing.
It really is. Well, we do it all by eye. So the way that
Wow.
the diamond shines is the way that the glass needs to shine. And it really,
That is straight up true art right there. To
yeah,
be able to see that, that's amazing.
and it needs to look 3D. It can't just be a
Right.
flat piece. So if you look at it from a distance, it looks like it's beveled and it's a real diamond. Um, but that's what it's really meant to be. And they're so pretty. We started to make blue and green
Wow. So
and now we're making beach towels out of them. And I
I
just
love the beach towels. They're gorgeous. I just saw them on your
uh,
Instagram. Amazing.
so thank you. So we were launching them at Bloomingdale's at the event on the 16th, and I just put them up to see if anybody would even, just, to put them up. And I sold out immediately of
Oh my
everything we put up. So we keep designing
God.
more, and we're doing them
Great.
in small limited edition runs, which is really interesting. So
Mhm.
like the blue sold out. So now I have another few colors to put up, which um, it's just so much fun. It's a whole new thing.
I can feel
Um,
it. It is fun. You're fun. So
yeah,
how long is the art exhibit going to be up in New York? Is that an ongoing exhibit or is it just a
yeah, they'll just have our stuff. They're going to have the stuff in the gallery, and they actually sold some pieces now, so we have to get a few more to them. And
so you say we, and when
oh, and we're
I looked at your website and I could not believe how prolific you are. You have so many projects that you've have in your portfolio that are like huge, like restaurants and just, I mean, major, major installations. And I'm thinking, how is this person doing all of this? So you say we, so I'm assuming you have help.
yes. Oh, okay. So, um, first of all, I work with my husband. My husband comes from a Wall Street background, and he started with me in 2001, right after September 11th. Uh, he couldn't go really back to Wall
Oh,
Street, so it was really traumatic time, and
yes.
he would come and hang out in my studio, and he was a workaholic who never left his office. So when he needed, he needed office to go to, he would come and sit in my studio, and I'd be laying on the floor, doing my mosaics, listening to my disco music, and
I love
you
it.
know and he needed that, I think, desperately,
Yeah,
a little like a happy place.
right.
We were living downtown, and it was just a really awful time. And
Mhm.
so he decided that I needed a desk, I needed a computer, I needed things. And then all of a sudden he made himself an office, and he just started working with me. And we built a team, and I've been with my team for over like 10 years. And it's like a little family here. We understand each other, and it's just this little pot of beautifulness. And
Oh, that's so great. I love to hear that.
yeah,
So, was it easy for you? Because it's not like you just hired an employee, like you were hiring artists. So was that hard to find or
well,
was it pretty
over
easy?
well, when you can find a creative mind, and you teach them your craft and how you like things, and they put their spin, and they understand. You need to really have a good mind relationship with somebody that you're working with that's creative, because you don't want to butt heads, or you don't want them
Hmm.
not to see your vision.
Hmm.
So I don't have an easy time hiring people, but the people that we have in our studio have been with us. They're like our family.
Hmm.
They've been
That's so
years.
good.
I mean, oh my gosh, we just had a birthday for somebody who's been here 14 years, and it was like,
Wow.
wow, he was a baby when he came. He's my intern.
So you had to hire people even back in your 20s. Was that ever an issue for you, or was that something that just was like, I have to
Well,
get this done, so I need to find some people?
yes, that's how it first started. I had no idea about hiring. I didn't know how to be an employer. I didn't really know if uh, I didn't know what, I didn't even know what taxes or insurance or anything was. This
So
is like
how did you
early
learn
on.
those things? How did you, I
Well,
mean, what would be your advice for somebody who is a creative entrepreneur like that and who wants to be
yeah,
really all hands in the clay, but they also need to know this business aspect part of it? Would you think, do you hire that out, or do you?
yeah, I think you need somebody to do. I couldn't do it. I didn't do it, and that's when my husband came in, and he was like, "Oh God, what a mess!" Like, do you even have invoices? I didn't even know what an invoice was. So it was, I would handwrite them in like one of those books where you put like,
Uh-huh.
the number was on. I would go and write out an invoice, and I had no clue. So actually, I was very like lucky in that fact to have him come in and streamline, like, okay, this is, you do taxes, you do this was, thank goodness, early on,
Mhm.
I had somebody to take care of that. And he's quite creative now as well, so
Mm.
he's been doing some fun creative things. But it's good to have, if I couldn't do it, I was really, um I had a difficult time with, you know, the administration part of
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
things. Now I've learned I still don't want to do it. We have a,
So hire
I
somebody.
yeah,
Most
and
creatives don't.
if maybe like if you could hire somebody to do some administrative work, and maybe they'll somebody that has been doing this for a while and can teach you,
Mhm.
so you can really make more sales and do less of that.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
that's not what you're, because that was so not my thing. I mean,
Mhm. Sure.
I
Well,
would
you're
forget where things
creating.
were going, and it was a mess at first.
Oh, that's perfectly fit with your husband then. That's great. So I was reading that you have some pretty fabulous, you've had Elton John and Chris Kardashian, and you had mentioned to me earlier, Ashley Longshore. So who was the first celebrity that you worked with, and was it a good experience, or yeah, just tell me about it. Who was the first one that you worked with?
Oh gosh, the first one. Maybe
There
it
have been
was.
so many.
Yeah, no, I think, we create such crazy, unique wall finishings that, they're not for the everyday person.
Hmm.
So, it is for like an Elton John.
Hmm.
I think
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think our first, but one of the early ones was Rihanna, and
Oh
I
my
didn't even
gosh.
know who Rihanna was.
That's
And
awesome.
so, and they said that when she walked into her house she started to cry, and
Aw.
they said, do you want to come, she's having a party, she wants to meet you, do you want to come? And I was like, I can't go, I'm tiling a job today, like
Oh my
I had,
goodness.
fast forward, I was like, oh my God, Rihanna. But I didn't know who she was.
Oh
A lot of
goodness.
times I don't know who people are. They like to keep it, like the designer will not tell us.
Mm, you're right, right.
And but then I'll see it if it gets published. Elton John was a really a cool one. We do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in the music industry,
I
because
can
they want
see.
something that really nobody
Right, right,
I think there's nothing really custom out there anymore. It's getting
right.
less and less. I feel like we're like one of the last that will really do something crazy and custom for your home and have it handmade.
Mm,
Mosaics are like the oldest known form of art, and it's a
mm-hmm.
dying art. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep it alive so badly because it's so beautiful. I just think
Um,
that doing things with your hands are becoming so. eh, It's I have two kids, and all they do is sit on a computer, and it just drives me crazy to
mm-hmm.
see that people aren't, and also manufacturing. New York City used to be a huge manufacturing town. I mean, this is what New York City was. We manufactured. Nobody does any manufacturing here anymore, and it's so sad. Um,
So I
So
want to touch on something about that. There's a lot of things I want to talk about that, but you were named New York City's Business of the Year, which is amazing,
yeah, but
incredible,
I
wonderful.
was,
Congratulations. And
thank you.
you had mentioned that you had some people that have been supporting you along the way. And I thought it was fascinating. I thought if you could share that story with us.
Yes. Okay. So Evergreen is an organization in Brooklyn. It's a business exchange, and they help keep businesses alive and manufacturing here. My studio previously, before I was in Brooklyn, was in New York City. We were in the Garment Center. I loved it there. I still love it there. I felt at
Mhm.
home, and I had been there for since the early 90s in basically almost the same space, but I had a very, very big space and my rent had gone up. I thought it was high at 5,000. And when my lease came up, they raised it to like 28,000. And
Oh my goodness.
I thought it was a typo. And when you have
Jeez.
like a manufacturing company where with machine, not real machinery, but like heavy duty
Right.
things, I never thought I was leaving. I had been there so long. I had basically thought I owned the building. I
Mm.
mean, it was my building. I had been there forever. I knew every tenant. I knew the super. I mean, I knew how to run the freight elevator. And it was an entire floor with a huge deck outside. It was the greatest space ever.
Mm.
So when our lease came up, I had to look, and I was looking in the neighborhood, and they were showing me these like 10 by 10 rooms again for
Oh
$5,000.
my goodness.
And I was like besides myself. And my husband was in this group, and they got in touch with Evergreen because he was in this business, New York City business group, and he got in touch with Evergreen, and they had a space available, and we came to see it. It was priced so wonderfully. They helped us move. They helped us find the lighting. Con Ed came and put in our lighting for free. They did so many wonderful things to help keep us in New York City eh, while everybody else wants us out. So it could become another condo or another hotel. They
Ah.
fought, they were fighting, tirelessly, just like crazy to keep us. Um, because I have employees have families, and
Mhm.
families, need to eat. They're not, and there's so many creative people here. It was just it was wonderful that they helped us. I think if they had not really helped us, there would not be a space for us in New York City anymore.
Mm.
Because there was no way I could pay $30,000 a month to be an artist, or to do what I love without being so stressed out. I mean, it just
Mhm.
couldn't happen. End of
Right.
story.
Right.
So we moved to Brooklyn, and I had never been here, living here for like 30 years and never going to Brooklyn. I really never left my studio in the area because of my train line was just, the one line right to my house. And that's where I, what I knew was my own little world. But
Mhm.
I've learned that Brooklyn is so cool,
Mm.
and it, it's, it's amazing here. And I was given the opportunity. And so they're having Evergreen. If you want to look it up, it's
Oh,
evergreen.org.
I'll put the
Oh,
link on
okay.
the show
Oh,
notes for
okay.
sure. Yeah, definitely. So I think that's really wonderful that they did that for you. And just so other businesses and other people listening to this, is that usually in the area, most cities will have some sort of organizations that want to help keep the manufacturing in the city. Uh, my husband was with the planning and building department for many, many years, and I know they really want to encourage bringing in businesses, especially like yours. That's that have jobs and support the economy. So that's great, wonderful, and congratulations on
Oh, thank
wow.
you. That was so exciting.
Okay, let's talk about that shoe because that
Oh,
shoe
that
is
shoe.
incredible.
Oh, thank you. Well, that was for Bloomingdales, um, and it was for their shoe campaign because they're
Oh,
renovating their store, and they're their shoe department takes up the entire 5th floor, which is a whole entire city block. So they have everything. I mean, they have really, I think retail needs to up its game at this point
Mm-hmm.
and just be so fabulous,
Mm-hmm.
offer things that you can't find online, and make the shopping experience fun. And
Mm-hmm.
Bloomingdale's has done that. There's
Mm-hmm.
always events going on every day. There's something fun and different, and it's almost like going to the mall when I was a kid in the 80s. There's something different, even though it's one department store.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a shoe campaign for their shoe floor, and I did this monstrous Mosaic shoe.
So
And
great.
then it's very cool. And then they had a cosmetic launch where they redid the entire cosmetic department, and they have everything. So we did like a 10-foot perfume bottle, and that's
Amazing.
there now as well.
Yeah.
So
So will
um,
that stay there for a while? And what will happen after that? Will it go to the gallery?
well, it's very funny you should say that. It's too big to, it came in 2 pieces, but I think they're going to have to saw it apart if they'll ever have to take it apart,
Oh
which is
no.
so I think they're just moving it around.
That's awesome.
And the shoe is it probably will stay for a very long time. And then but I'm not sure. But I'm not sure what happens, after the life of these sculptures. But I think they'll be pretty permanent for a
Mm.
while.
Mhm. I love that. It's wonderful public art. So you have quite a relationship with Bloomingdale's. How did that start for you?
So I actually met them at a trade show. They
Oh,
a
okay.
whole they were all walking around, and they came to my little booth, and it, I we all became like really good friends. Really, like, I just loved them all. Then they were so nice and so supportive, and they were just a great, cool, creative group.
Hmm.
And they came to the studio, and it that's when it just they their creative juices were flowing, and I got to do fashion week with them.
Oh my
And
gosh, how fun.
where Fashion week was wonderful because they used my work in every window of the entire building,
Was that
because
when
we
you
had
did the octopus disco ball sparkle?
no
Oh, that was
no no
something
no
else? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
that was they
Wow.
chose 7 artists in New York to create a window for Christmas. And I was one that was my first project with them,
Incredible.
was the Christmas window. And that was it is such an honor to
Wow,
be asked
yeah.
to work on the Christmas windows. The other windows are always good, but like the Christmas windows in New York City are a
Everything.
sight they're
Yeah,
everything. I mean,
right.
the tree gets lit, the Christmas
Mhm,
lights go on in the stores, and like Christmas begins. And so to me, it
mhm.
was like the biggest honor ever.
Wow.
And I met such great people,
Wow.
and from that, then they asked me if I wanted to do another window, and another and another, and it's I told them I'm never leaving. And so now so now we're
Literally.
doing this.
Now you have clothing and everything there. Wow.
I really think they were, they were so open, to hearing, unique ideas. I never knew if people would, uh, like these things, but I made things I absolutely love, and
Mm.
we will soon see. We've already actually taken orders, and we've sold out of everything that we put on Instagram. So I'm putting up another one, but I need to have
So great.
merchandise for the 16th.
Oh gosh, these are good problems to have. So
Right.
why do you think it's resonating so much with people? Do you think it's just the authenticity and that it's so, well, I'll let you answer that.
I don't know. I mean, I love color, I love pattern, and it's just happy.
Hmm.
I it really is just it's beautifully crafted, and I feel like it makes you happy. You can't
Hmm.
smile. And I
Mm.
feel like, we need happiness at all
Art makes you
times.
happy. That's my
Yeah,
hashtag.
and
Art makes you happy.
yeah, and color. I respond to color very, very
Mm-hmm.
well, and
Mm-hmm.
all different types of colors. And so I try to, put the colors that, are electrifying. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like a CBD oil type of a situation where it's like, you're supposed to, it's a magical cure. But I feel like some of these things are a magical cure. You cannot be happy when you see them. And
Exactly.
I,
It's true.
there's just some, yeah, and I've
It's
always
true.
felt that way. And I feel like we create all these little babies, and then we birth these babies and off they go. And so this is, by creating a clothing line, we're able to keep them, keep the patterns, keep the the artwork, and put it onto something else. So we'll have another life.
So great. You're just spreading the joy all around. It's
So
good. It's good.
I
Keep going.
try.
It's
I think it's
so
quite
good.
important. I feel like there's a lot of sadness in the world. So this is, like a good thing.
I'm so happy that I'm having you speak. I'm at a loss for words because everything you're saying. I'm just like I could ask you 10 more questions about it. But yeah, it's exactly why I wanted to do this podcast was because I really believe in the mission to support the arts and to have people like you in the world to support you so that you can keep bringing out more joy into the world. And I totally agree with that. And I knew there was a reason I wanted to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think
Yes.
it's quite important too.
I just
Um,
your body, the your work, your joy and everything that you're doing, that you're sharing, it's like I mean, you seem so fearless and you seemed fearless from the very beginning. And I really would like to get to ask you, I feel like I usually ask, what would be your advice to your younger self, but I feel like you didn't need any.
I don't. Well,
But what would
I
be your
always said
advice to someone who's in college right now? They're studying the arts. They don't really know where that's gonna land them or take them. What would you say to that young person?
I say take every opportunity and cherish it, and you know do it. Never say no to a project, and figure out how to do it. If and work really, don't think anything in this world is given to you. You have to make it work. And as dark as your days may seem, of people saying you're not good enough, you're never going to make it, you just keep going. And if you believe in yourself, that's 100%. You need to believe in yourself, and you have to push yourself. There's no stopping, there's no getting through. You just need to keep going and keep your blinders on, and don't listen to anybody else. Take good criticism, and take every project you can.
Oh, it's so good. It's kind of like that work leads to work and just push up your sleeves and do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Oh gosh, this was amazing. I almost feel like I want to have another episode with you at another date because I could just see you're just rolling and you're just doing so many beautiful things for this world. And I'm just so happy I had the opportunity to get to speak with you about a little tiny bit of it. So
Oh
thank
my
you so
gosh.
much,
And
Allison.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it too. And thank you.
Yeah. Yay. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this podcast and you'd like to support it even more, you can join me over on patreon.com/Mari Robeson and become a patron of mine. If you're a patron of mine, you'll receive bonus episodes every month, only for patrons. You'll also receive 20% off all the merchandise in my online shop, marirobeson.bigcartel, and you will be receiving free printables every month that will be of my artwork, and they're some really fun things. You can follow along on Instagram and you can see what I'm creating just for my patrons. I would deeply appreciate it. It would help me keep the lights on, and it would help me pay all the fees that it takes to put together a podcast like this so that I can keep supporting all the artists, keep bringing you great information, keep paying it forward to the next generation of artists. It's just a wonderful thing, and I would really deeply appreciate your support.